And so we're going to start off with some introductions, and then of all of us here, and then we'd like to get some feedback on those two prompts. What we're trying to help the PED and others determine is, what are some essential pieces that every CS and IT program needs, and then also considerations about what is one thing your company or organization could do to support these programs. So we're gonna, let's do, oh, interesting. You guys are all like in the upper end of the alphabet. So I was gonna go alphabetically by first name. So I'm Paige Prescott, and I am with Computer Science Alliance, which is an education nonprofit in New Mexico, supporting our teachers to learn computer science education so that they can bring it to their students. And we do that for K-12. And then we also work with districts to help them develop robust plans around computer science education. And I include IT in that as well. So Mark, I'm going to pass it to you. If you could introduce yourself.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Dusky. I work as a staff and special projects manager for the College and Career Readiness Bureau.
Thanks, Mark. And then who's next in the, let's see, Ron, I think.
Hi, I'm Ron Blanchard. I am a solutions manager on the education to workforce team at Amazon Web Services. I recently joined that team. Prior, I was a solutions architect. So I've worked with various industries and, helping them through their technological evolutions.
Great. Scott, are you able to introduce yourself?
Okay. Yes, my name is Scott Sponseller. I'm the Information Technology Officer at Spaceport America. I work for the state of New Mexico. I've been in the industry for about 21 years throughout various IT positions. And that's a little bit about myself.
Thank you. Spencer?
Hi, I'm Spencer Wilcox. I am the Executive Director, Technology and Chief Security Officer for P&M Resources here in central New Mexico, which kind of leads me to my background. I've got 30 plus years of experience in IT, security, law enforcement, etc. So that's it.
Thanks, Spencer. Stephen Rickman?
Hi, I'm with Plateau Telecommunications. We're a telecommunications provider, and basically the northeastern corner is our cooperative, but we're all over different parts of the state. I've got about 30 years experience in IT, from programming to now I'm doing managed services and enterprise level networks for the company. And, things that we're looking for are like network engineers and computer programmers and that type. So.
Great, nice to meet you. And Tim indicated that his mic isn't working. He's president of Lassen Incorporated, and I see behind him is a helicopter, and his logo indicates some sort of censoring. But Tim, if you could in the chat tell us more about your company, that'd be great. And then we'll move over to Victoria.
Yes, I'm Victoria. Well, Denise Ojeda. I work for the PED as well, and my region is Region C, and I'm happy to be here listening in with you all. Thank you.
Region C is one of the regions that didn't have CS as their priority.
But I'm supporting our team and then the initiatives.
Thanks.
Do better. Do better.
And this is from Tim there. Very cool, LiDAR systems. Well, great to have you all, and we really appreciate all this, your input on this. So a Padlet is, it's a great tool that we use in education a lot to get input, and we're using it here with you all. I'm going to share my screen, and it's also, I'll also get the URL and put it in the chat. And so the two questions that we're asking is, what would we consider an essential piece of a computer science or IT program? And what for you to add your input, just hit the plus sign, and there's you'll be able to put like a digital Post-it up there. And this is just something to kind of get the conversation started, and giving the input that the PED needs to communicate out to the schools and help them develop robust programs. So I'm seeing cybersecurity fundamentals, yep, and secure coding and network and IT fundamentals, very good. And then, we'd love to also understand how your company could help achieve some of these metrics or make programs strong for our students in New Mexico so they could be your future employees. So we'll give a minute or two or a couple minutes for adding your input on this. And any questions or comments right now? Oops. So I have a question for those of you that are in the industry. Are you seeing applicants coming from New Mexico that have some of these skills already, or you're seeing that you're
No.
having to do some of your own training?
In almost every case, we're having to do our own training.
Mm-hmm.
If they've got like information, like network or information technology fundamentals, it's usually only at like first tier Cisco certification or something like that, where they've got Network Plus or A Plus, but they don't have detailed enough information to be able to actually do anything by themselves. So.
And how long is that onboarding process for you at PNM?
Probably 6 months in most cases.
Yeah.
We are very similar to what he just described. We were fortunate recently. I just wanted to share that we had a hire out of Clovis Community College who had completed their associate's program, and she actually was able to hit the ground running with very little onboarding. It was more learning our systems and our that type of stuff that were specific to our company, but her knowledge of networking was pretty good. So a nice little shout out to Clovis Community College for that.
And was that CNM, or which college was it?
Clovis Community College.
Oh, Clovis, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, you said East.
So Paige, one thing that I've noticed, and I might be kind of a snob on this one, so bear with me. I find that, if we're going to teach a programmer, for instance, they tend to learn a specific technology set in school, whether that's in high school or in college. They're not necessarily learning the fundamentals of how these things work. Instead focusing on the technology itself, right? So they might be able to click buttons, but they may not understand what the meaning of those buttons are necessarily, or they may be able to write a subroutine, but they may not know why they're writing that subroutine the way they are. How do we also teach from a fundamentals perspective things like logic and things like system interaction and OSI model and those things, and make it meaningful to somebody who's a novice in the field?
Do you feel that that's something that can be addressed in curriculum in a high school level? Or is that more
do.
at the college level?
No, I think it's a high school level thing. I think if we're not teaching at least fundamentals of logic, how do if and or not, et cetera, work, then you're not going to be able to be an effective programmer later, right? So this is something that I think starts early. Statistical modeling is another example, right? We teach up to calculus in high school, but statistics and calculus are worlds apart.
Yeah.
So how do we train people in that data analytics model if they don't understand statistics?
Right.
So that's why I mention it. It's they're conceptually they're fundamentals, but they're totally different thought patterns than most kids coming out of high school have adopted.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of data science education. That's a new sort of national initiative. A lot of work coming out of California, specifically a researcher, Jo Bohler. She's partnered with Wolfram Alpha, or Wolfram, what's his first name? Scott Wolfram?
Tom Wolfram.
Tom Wolfram.
Something
To develop that. And I think that has a lot of overlap with computer science and then the statistics that you talked about. But any other things, like Ron, are you with Amazon on the education side with AWS or on the technical side?
I just transferred over about 3 months ago. I was on the technical solutions architecture side, but I moved into the educational workforce team just a couple months ago. And so I'm kind of bridging my experiences.
Yeah, it's not always common to have people that have technical expertise also be able to communicate in the education pedagogical way. So kudos to you.
Thanks.
Anything that you're noticing or you feel like Amazon is, kind of pioneering or needing?
Most of our recruiting requires a bit of either work experience or higher ed education. We don't do a lot of recruiting directly out of high school. I don't think we have very many jobs that can work at that level within AWS. I mean, other parts of Amazon like fulfillment center and, kind of the .com side of business, yeah, definitely. But the tech jobs require a bit more experience than we've seen out of high schools. But, we are working with schools around the country on enablement. We do have educational programs that we offer to K-12s as well as higher ed to incorporate into their, CSIT curriculums to add, cloud technologies into their programs of study.
Great. Yeah. I don't know of any schools in New Mexico that are currently, high schools that are currently dabbling in cloud computing yet, but I've seen some of those resources. I know some of them that have done the engineer. What is that? Amazon engineer?
There's a cloud
Future
architect.
engineer.
Oh, future engineer, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the guest speakers come in and talk with them.
Well, this is great. Thanks for the Padlet. Is there anything that, so you have your perspective from the company level, and then is there an ecosystem level that not just your company, but are there other sort of adjacent companies that aren't represented in some of these ideas here with either what's needed in the program or what a company could do to support the program?
Yeah, I'll jump back in. Working with schools recently, as well as my experience working with different enterprises as a solutions architect, a lot of the entry-level talent people are looking for, they're trying to get, ability to demonstrate intellectual curiosity, the ability for these kind of early in career talent to seek out information, because tech is always changing, and the concept of troubleshooting is about figuring it out. And, sometimes following, cookie cutter labs and kind of working toward, just certifications doesn't provide the candidates with enough skills to really think outside the box and innovate solutions. So, what I've seen is challenges trying to instill that into education, getting schools to somehow develop this drive to seek out knowledge on their own.
Kind of being like a lifelong learner.
Yes.
Like it's not one and done. Like I got my diploma and now I'm done. It's like, nope, you need to be a lifelong learner. So I'm going to add that to the essential piece. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, when it's interesting, I have a son, who, he plays Minecraft, and he goes on Google and he finds ways to, download mods, and he kind of just does it on his own. And, having that drive to seek out information, of course, when it's for a game, it's easy, but when it's for, stuff that's not as fun, it still has to happen. So most kids are pretty computer literate, so they have the tools at hand. It's that missing piece, for them to go find stuff even when it's not, for their own personal benefit.
So Ron, that's a great point. I guess because I have the same experience. I have 4 kids. All of them are incredibly competent at writing their own little Java mods to Minecraft, right? Whether you like it or not, which means I have Java on my network and I'm a security guy. But the reason that I mention that is they're capable when it's gamified, right? When it's something that makes it fun, entertaining, that gamifies the learning, and they see a tangible outcome from it, then it makes sense to them. But if you were to talk about symbolic logic to as we mentioned earlier, to somebody, what's the outcome that they're trying to gain? Well, what they're really trying to gain is how to manipulate those variables inside that Minecraft mod,
Yeah.
right? So how do you put all of those things together into something that's interesting and entertaining, that teaches the skill sets that then can be transferred to maybe less fun applications, like running a power grid? You know what I mean?
No, I totally agree. I think that immediate relevance is really important for uptake, so the students can actually see the results or the relevance of what you're teaching them about. But I know a lot of these courses have so much already crammed into them, so the instructors try to find the smoothest way, and it may end up being a lecture on the theory of variables and pointers, and those kind of like programming nuances that comes across really dry, and people don't understand the use cases, and they just kind of like stop liking computer science. Where I see the most enthusiasm is when it is gamified. So wherever it could be tied to real things, building projects, build a website, build a game, it makes it funner for the kids until they get older, and then college, they realize they got to work more than play. And, there's a different level of maturity.
Can you gamify your work?
My work?
You absolutely can.
So we're gonna,
I
think we're running out of time. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, Paige, what I was going to say is we gamify, for instance, phishing exercises within my company, right? So just as an example, and there are ways to do this that can make it entertaining and fun, that also promote education. But the question is, what are the lifelong skills that they're gaining as a result of that game?
Yeah.
And so I think the point that Ron was making earlier around using Minecraft, that's a fantastic mechanism to kind of train some of these skills.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really interesting, I consider computer science to be a new literacy, like that every kid should be learning this, not because we feel like they're all going to be computer scientists, but we teach math and writing, not because everyone's going to be a professional mathematician or writer, but that it's a fundamental skill. of communication and understanding. And like, I feel like that's part of computer science, or that's part of like the reality of our kids right now in the K-12 system. And then that, hopefully we can see that there'd be a robust amount of students that have some basic understanding as we move forward. So we are going to wrap up, and we need Jamie, you're here. How long do we have?
Christian said about 4 minutes.
Oh, okay. I missed
Until he
that.
calls us all back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're good. I mean,
Okay, thanks. Well, we will need a volunteer from our group, not me, to report out to the rest of the group, and not Tim, since his mic isn't working. And so if somebody's willing to kind of encapsulate that for the larger session in a few minutes, that would be great. And then any questions or final comments?
I guess as a comment from the state side of things, that basic skill, like you said, computer science becoming like a basic, skill to diverse life in general. And because from the state side, we're actually, having a hard time recruiting in the IT side as well, for programmers, for everything. And I think that having that basic skill is going to, enable us to at least pull some more candidates into our pool for hiring as well.
Yeah. Yeah, just make it a wide net in the K-12. And then hopefully with that exposure and confidence, they choose to study more in after high school, either in a 4-year program or an associate's, or get a certification, or they join your team and take on some of that learning. But it's really helpful to have your companies sort of interacting with the teachers and the students to show how important this industry is, and the fantastic opportunities that are local for our kids.
So I added one last thought into the essential piece of information, and that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it matter? And that's something that I think, we don't focus on in any of the formal learning, is why does this count?
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I'd like to nominate Ron to be our speaker.
Ron, will you accept the challenge?
Yeah, I'll do the summary. I'm taking notes.
Thank you. We appreciate that. So we'll see you all, and thanks for your participation and providing valuable information. We'll see you in the big session. Nice meeting you all.
It's a pleasure.
Nice to meet you as well.